On my birthday, which is April 6th, around this time, April 5th and 6th, depending upon where you live in the world, we're going to be having a full moon in Libra. The full moon in Libra for this year. I'm Everett Curdy, and welcome to my channel. If you're new, I would encourage you to subscribe and like this video so that it gets out to more people, and you can also share this video also. So, let's talk about this because the month of April is going to feature two lunar events, and this is going to be the first of those two events. So we're going to have the full moon in Libra on April 5th and 6th, and then on April 19th and 20th, we're going to be having a new moon in Aries, a second new moon in Aries, because we've already had the new moon, which started a brand new lunar cycle on March 21st. And now we are sort of, at the climax point of that lunar cycle. And then we're going to be starting again. But Aries is a sign of beginnings. But then that new moon will also be endings also, which is interesting because it's occurring at 29 degrees of Aries. And I'll do another video on that. But it's the sort of, understanding this event so you can understand that event happening later on in the month. But so, for right now, we're talking about the full moon. And so this lunation occurs when the sun, which is the brightest, hottest, star, it's a luminary in the, solar system. It's, so hot and intense, and it has such power and radiance. It forms an opposition, a 180-degree angle to the moon. And, in the daytime, you see the sun at the night. In the nighttime, the moon provides a gentle, light to the night. And just, knowing that, you can sort of guess at the qualities of the sun and moon. Maybe you can, but, the sun being, your personality and how you express yourself, and sort of, the light that we need to shine, and, sort of, when you're going about your day and you're going out into the world and, out and about doing things. And Aries really symbolizes that, the beginning of the day when you wake up in the morning and you have that fresh start and the sun is shining through your window. And then the moon is quiet. It's more internal. It's feminine. It's reflective. It deals with your emotional nature, your instincts. It deals with, sort of linking to your intuition. And it deals with feeling. It deals with, dropping into who you really are and going quiet. And when you need to be really comfortable, emotionally comfortable in your life. So these are forming an opposition. And when the sun and moon form an opposition, then it creates a full moon. And this is where the sun and moon, the energy is really big. It's, people sort of, more, it's been shown that more crime, is, the likelihood of crime is increased, around that time, because of, the light being brighter and, the energy being more, intense, and, the emotions being high. And it's the time where things can come to light and you can, ultimately release things and aspects from your life that don't serve you, and let go of those things so that you can form the new intentions at the new moon that is, the next new moon. So things come to closure at full moons. So, this particular full moon occurs at about 16 degrees and 8 minutes of Aries and Libra. The time that this occurs exactly is at 11:38 p.m. Central Time, and then 12:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this means that this full moon occurs, first and foremost on April 5th, Central Time, and, some parts of the world, not, only Central Time, depending upon which time that you live, on, wherever you live in the world, and you can find a time zone converter and calculate to find out when it will be, occurring for you. Or if you put in a natal chart calculator and put in, the data and information for finding the full moon, and it will show you when it happens exactly. When you see, the sun and moon at the same degree and minute, and when you find that, then you can find that it will, the natal chart calculator will probably just, just accommodate for whatever time you, live by, you know. But so, it occurs 11:38 p.m. Central Time if you live in Central Time, and then 12:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this would be happening, on April 5th or April 6th, depending upon where you live in the world. But it is, at midnight that this is occurring. So, let's get into this particular full moon. So we're dealing with the sign polarities. So you have 12 signs of the zodiac, and you're dividing them up, and you're splitting them into groups of 2, and you would have 6 groups. And so the first pairing of signs is Aries and Libra, and this is the relationship axis in astrology. So this is really the dance between being independent and going on your own path in life, and being who you want to be and being authentic and doing what you want to do and living the life that you want to live, not always having to ask permission and be on the backs of others. But then, Libra is the opposite. So, Aries is, the sun's in Aries from March 21st through April 19th. It's spring on, in the northern hemisphere where, the flowers are coming out and, the energy is getting heightened. We're starting a brand new astrological cycle, and it's Aries is the beginning. It is knowing thyself. And, the phrase for Aries is I am. And the phrase for Libra, because all the signs have phrases, is I, we, balance. So you're having one part of, which is the sun, which is, sort of, an astrologer that I follow calls it, conscious, awareness is, the part of you that is aware, wants to be, assertive. It wants to, have a lot of courage. Another part of, Aries is courage, being really courage, because we're talking about Aries season. We're talking about this Aries full moon. So Aries links to courage, it links to bravery. And pushing yourself that much more to do something that is, risky. And I'm not saying do something, like jumping off a cliff or anything like that, but, doing something, that's a challenge for you to overcome, where you can grow and take on this and that. that this ties into Aries quite a bit. So it deals with asserting yourself and being direct about your needs and wants and what's on your mind and what's in your heart in a given situation. That's Aries energy. It says, no, I'm not taking this, and this is how it is. It, wants to, you know, cut through that chaos and get to the truth. Kind of like Scorpio, but Aries and Scorpio are both ruled by Mars, but they are different energies. And Aries also deals with being the leader, taking the lead, and being in charge of your own life. That you have the right to be here, and you're going to be your own sort of inner authority, your own boss, and do what would fulfill you. So it's stepping into that individual and personal power that is Aries speciality. It deals with the pioneering, someone who starts something brand new. Is sort of is that energy, and the one who initiates this new system or structure or way of doing something, or business or job or relationship or whatever it is. Aries seeks to initiate, seeks to start, and well, nobody else is, so I will. That's that energy of confidence also. And then knowing what you want, being really decisive about it, and then going after whatever desire that you have. So that's Aries, and you can see the difference of that. And then Libra, and the sun's in Libra is opposite. So September 22nd through October 22nd. September 23rd through October 22nd. And Libra is a sign ruled by the scales, and Aries is the ram, which sort of goes at something, takes charge of a situation. But Libra seeks to balance. Balances, like this, and not, exactly like, this right here. It's that balances this and not that. Libra seeks balance. It seeks, compromise, things being fair and just, things being, peace, because Libra is the peacemaker. Wants, sees the different sides of the situation and wants people to, hear things out, talk them out, have a, discussion and a negotiation, rather than, just a heated, argument where one person is against the other. Deals with compromising, and it's, very accommodating to the needs and wants of others, and wants to do things for the good of others as well. And so we can look at our relationships serving us. Where are we being too, passive aggressive? Mars is in Cancer at this time, and that can relate to passive, aggression. And where are we being, overly dependent on another person? Is that relationship serving us to, for us to be who we want to be authentically? Or, on the other side, are we being too, self-focused, too, um, on our own path, righteous, um, you know, are we being too Aries, or are we being too Libra? What part of that polarity is out of balance that needs bringing back into balance? So are your relationships serving you at this time? It also deals with being open to learning. He wants to learn because it's an air sign, wants to gather information, especially in relationships. It wants to understand and see where the other is coming from, and wants to see the beauty within connections to another, and wants that conversation where you're talking and hearing each other out, and again, understanding where that person's coming from, and then making a solution to a problem. For example, collaboratively wants to share an experience that seeks sharing and collaboration. That's labor. So you're working with those two sides of yourself, and we can really look at so there's this conflict. These two signs are opposing, the self versus relationships. Time to look at the value of those relationships at this time. Now, there's a couple aspects occurring with this particular full moon, and the first being the Sun conjunct Jupiter. Now, this is going to happen on April 11th, the same day as Venus is changing signs and moving into Gemini. But so the Sun conjunct Jupiter at the time of this full moon is about seeing into the future of what you want to grow and manifest in your reality, because Jupiter deals with expansion, and it's about knowing what you really want and getting lucky when you go after it. Especially because it's in Aries, because it wants to go after something where you're not just sitting on the positive energy, but you're actually proactively going out and making something happen and taking action. Um, and it's about having a new adventure in your life, because Jupiter is about excitement and it rules Sagittarius, so it's about the quest and the traveling to new lands, and also really being tuned toward new areas of study. Like, what is something new that you want to learn? And this could be so many different kinds of things, like just certain topic in history, or it could even be higher education, more sort of philosophical topics, and also astrology. It can be the confidence to move into a new religious faith and get into that because it's true for you, and you want to initiate that because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Sagittarius is a sign that rules over religious matters. So those are some ideas with that, and the overall feeling with the Sun conjunct Jupiter transit is feeling really happy and joyful. There's just joy, and there's just high energy and enthusiasm, and just a zest for life, and wanting to do things, learn this, meet people, have these relationships. So from a prescriptive point of view, it's a wonderful time to do new things, learn new things, go new places, and really see all that you have to be glad about in your life. And then new opportunities, because Jupiter deals with opportunities and expansion. Now's the time to take advantage of those opportunities. And with this conjunction, the sky really is the limit, where it's very lucky, fortunate energy, and the sky is the limit. And you will get lucky if you proactively and actively go after something, initiate something. Um, And, the downside of Jupiter can be, overindulgence. It can be, just, overdoing it, of wanting more and more and more, because Jupiter expands and grow and grow and grow. It's sort of like a, balloon. And Jupiter doesn't really have any surface. It's, a gas giant. Um, and so, it's huge. It's the biggest planet in the solar system. And so it deals with indulgence of making it, just, wanting more. And, it's important to know when to tone that down and know when enough is enough, so that you're not sort of, I want to say, abusing the energy, or abusing Jupiter, or I don't know. But, it's just being mindful of when too much indulging in, food or something else, and knowing that limit on that, and knowing when too much is just too much. And then the other aspect is Mercury in Taurus forming a sextile to Saturn in Pisces. And so, this is good for any kind of practical, logical, black and white, decisive thinking, where you can be really clear on what makes sense, and what is true for you, and make decisions really well. It's good for rational thinking, especially for long-term goals into the future. You can get really you can get really grounded and make decisions from that place, and think strategically about the next plan of action that you're going to do, and take that one foot in front of the other, and make that next step in your life. And it deals with you can really get things done much more effectively. You can really stay focused, stay on course, and stay, have the discipline to get whatever you need to done. Good judgment comes in with this. And another little part of this is, because Saturn deals with, the teacher, deals with, our ancestors, elders. And so it's a good time also to, look to people that are, older than you, and learning from them, and seeking knowledge and, guidance and wisdom, but also teaching that to other people. So it's both and, where you can learn and then teach at the same time. And so that is, really what is going on. I really, my intention behind, these videos, I don't want to give every bit of information away about everything I'm talking about. And I hope that I didn't do that. I hope that I provided something, in depth for you to, remember, and, provide good information. But I'm, mindful when it comes to, giving all that information, and just, just giving it all away. And then what do I feel like I have to say on another video, for instance? So, yeah. So that is really what it all comes down to. So there you have it. The full moon in Libra on April 5th and 6th. I hope that you enjoyed. Have a wonderful full moon. I'll see you in another video.